Hi, I'm Ellsey. I live in Ontario and I want to show off my garden. I love showing my garden off in pictures, particularly since we've put a lot of work into it over the past year. And Brian from Next Level Gardening sort of gave me the push to do a bit of a video show off. So right now I have no followers, no videos, no views, but I will throw this into a YouTube channel, LCK Gardens, just so that it's got a place to live besides sending it off to Brian in case he wants to make my garden famous. When we came here, there was a garden set up at the site of my current garden. There were some nice raised beds, but I thought that they could be improved for our purposes a little bit with the spacing. The back half of them were mainly in shadow during most of the day, and the front half was in a lot of light. And the paths in between were a little bit awkward. They were filled with grass, but it was hard to put a lawnmower down in between them, so they would get kind of overrun. So we changed the spacing, added a bunch more. Unfortunately, we had a rotting tree that was going to fall down, so we took it down, took advantage of some of that space. And what you see behind me are 16 beds made out of galvanized steel, as well as some tomato trellising. So this is our main vegetable garden, and I'd love to show you around. Come on. I planted the peas early, knowing that I had just a short trellis. I wanted to put them in this location because it was ready sooner than some other areas of the garden. And I told myself that I would just chop them off when they came to the top of the trellis so that they wouldn't flop over. But then I had all these flowers that were on the top, and it's psychologically difficult to cut them off, but I will do it today. I know that I have to, or I risk losing the whole plant. It's just so lovely when they start to produce. Last year I tried to grow some corn, and I was so proud of myself. I had little baby cobs of corn, then the raccoons ate them all. So this year I'm trying a technique called the Three Sisters that many of you probably know about. This is a spaghetti squash that's growing here. I've got my little block of corn, and then winding up it, I've got some pole beans. So right now I just have little tiny babies. You can see the silks, and I'm gonna be helping them to get wind pollinated. And oh, you can see here that it's actually stuck on the pole bean. So I'm just gonna help that out a little bit. But with a little bit of babying, I'm hoping that the raccoons don't get them all this year. Ha. Beautiful. So in my garden, I like to be quite organized on a macro level, but on the smaller scale, I like playing with some polyculture. It's fun to go to the different beds and see different things growing. Plus, I'm hopeful that if I have problems with pests, it's not going to wipe out my entire crop because I actually have things planted in duplication. So in this bed, this is a good example of it. Over here, I have some borage, which I am using as a pollinator, and it's going crazy. I've cut it back several times, but it just loves it here, which is great. I have some radishes growing along here, a little nasturtium that I thought was going to have a bit more space that's underneath the borage. Here, I'm trying my hand at some peanuts. We'll see if they work for me here in Ontario. I have some pepper plants that are giving me some little baby peppers, an onion, a marigold, a little ground cherry that's it's a volunteer and it's taking off. I'm just letting it do its thing. A little bit of basil, and this right here is strawberry spinach. So the leaves are a little bit bland, but I'm growing it in the hopes that I get some red berries. I just want to try it and see what it's like. I'm growing all kinds of new things this year, so this is one of my fun things. So over in here, you can see it's working well here. I'm trying to grow some things that have scent and are also useful in between these pavers. I laid all of these pavers myself. They are not perfect, and people who lay pavers are not paid enough. Oh my goodness. but I'm really glad that I did. I like the aesthetic and the functionality of it. So these are some volunteer cilantro. In other places, I've got some volunteer dill. I'm trying to grow some creeping thyme as well. I'm hoping the bunnies don't like the smell of it. But I love this. You go through here, you rub it if you want some for your dinner, you just pull it off, and I know not everyone loves it, but I really like cilantro. And here on the other edge of the garden, I have peas that are doing a much better job of climbing their trellis. Lesson learned, give them a taller trellis even if it's not ready at the same time, because as you can see, these peas have caught up. They are not at all behind the other ones that are toppling over the trellis, and no angst at having to cut any flowers on these ones. They can keep on going. And this is the kids' garden. So my daughter wanted to plant some flowers and some tomatoes. They're these little itty bitty, they're supposed to be some Tiny Tim cherry tomatoes. She has a little bean that's growing here as well. And my son has a larger variety. These are Arctic tomatoes. Both of the kids are growing determinate variety of tomatoes because I thought it would be easier with the pruning. And they both have lots of flowers, so I'm hopeful that they'll have a good crop. My son wants to eat his carrots and make tomato soup. This is our chicken coop, and there is our little chicken. This is Bluefish. We'll see if she'll come out and say hi. She's a little bit shy. So Bluefish, we only have one chicken. We hatched some eggs, 5 chickens hatched. We were hopeful we had 5 hens, and then 3 of them looked a lot like roosters. So we were sure we had 2 hens, and then 1 started crowing. So luckily, our favorite of the chickens was the actual hen, and we have some more eggs starting so that she's not going to be lonely through the winter. This is our neighbor's garage, but that wasn't enough privacy for our neighbor. Our neighbor really does not like seeing the chicken coop, so she put up this privacy fence, which actually I really like. And it's turned our fence, which, you know, is a chain link fence, it's, you know, nothing special, into a trellis. If anyone has any ideas of what I should grow here, I would really appreciate it. There used to be trees here, but unfortunately we had a lot of buckthorns. For anybody who has buckthorns in your area, you know that they're a horrible weed. And the other trees were quite diseased and wrapped up with the buckthorn. So we wiped it out. I do think that maybe I'll put a cherry tree or something here one day, but for this year, I'm trying my hand at the Florida weave tomato trellising. The last thing I'm going to show you is our berry bed that I told my husband vaguely what I wanted, and he ran with it and gave me this lovely folding netting berry bed. This goes all the way up to here and down. I won't do it right now because I have to tuck the strawberries to bed every time I put it back. And the idea is that this is going to prevent the birds from getting in and getting my blueberries and my strawberries. But also in this PVC, there are little holes that are drilled, and when we hook up a hose, it will irrigate the bed for us nicely. So, fun little touch. Unfortunately, the chipmunks have discovered that they can chew through this netting, so I have a little bit of a mending job to do later today. Well, thanks for coming along on that walkthrough. Like I said, I love to show off. So this is my big vegetable garden. I also have a container garden, and I'm working on a bit of a fruit orchard. Big plans that maybe I'll take over the front yard into some more ornamental of the edible crops. Like, I don't know if you've noticed in the background, I have some bok choy that is completely bolted and flowered, but the pollinizers love it, and it's really pretty. So something like that in the front yard. I'm toying with the idea if it might be nice to cut down on the amount of lawn we have to mow. If you're interested in seeing any of those things, I might make another couple videos because this is kind of fun. I'll put them in my brand new LCK Gardens on YouTube. Hope you have a great day. So hard.